Hello, I'm Nicole Byrd-Phelps, and I have a story to sustain. This is a devotional tribute to the Reverend Billy Graham. Billy Graham lived to be 99 years old. He is considered America's pastor. Not very often do pastors have the good fortune to live as long a life as Billy Graham lived, and to be able to minister for so many of the years that they're here on this earth. Billy Graham was a wonderful pastor. He had a true, godly love in his heart for people, and most importantly for Jesus Christ. And he spent most of his years sharing the gospel, trying to get people to believe in Jesus Christ. It was his heart's cry. It was his mission. Today I have a story to sustain called Billy Graham, Lover of God, Lover of Others. The scripture is 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 5. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil. And also Matthew 22, verses 37 through 39. Jesus said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." Both scripture passages were taken from the New King James Version of the Bible. When we were growing up, my mother used to make my siblings and I watch portions of the Billy Graham crusades on television. To us, watching Billy Graham was the equivalent of having to eat vegetables at the supper table. It was not very appealing, entertaining TV. We liked Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley. Interestingly enough, Billy Graham was shown in the place of those shows back in those days. We had to watch. As you can imagine, I was intrigued by the music. I remember George Beverly Shea. I remember listening to the hymns, noting the ones I knew, which we sang at Lee's Chapel Free Will Baptist Church. Just as I am always had to be at the end of the service. Sometimes I thought he used that hymn too much. There were other songs he could use as an invitation. Oh well, he was the one on television, and I was not. As I grew to adulthood, maturity set in, and I learned that Billy Graham was such a salt-of-the-earth person. My grandmother had many of his books in her little bookcase. Today I have her bookcase and have kept many of those books. She had learned long before myself that he was a salt-of-the-earth person who offered the priceless gospel of Jesus Christ not only through television, but through literature, as he would say. The words therein are powerful and practical, giving the Christian the down-to-earth yet theologically sound guidelines to make it to heaven. My husband and I went to the Billy Graham Library and the Cove, the Billy Graham Training Center, in 2016. We had never been before. I will never forget the kindness of the people at both places. They were trained to show love and to be true Christian servants. God oozed from every possible part of each place too. I remember having to make a phone call on behalf of my cousins when they were attempting to enter the Cove, which is a secure area. While I was on hold, I could hear a recording of Billy Graham preaching in the background. Adding to the personal touches was the beautiful scenery of the North Carolina Piedmont and mountain regions. Furthermore, every bit of man-made construction and decorations were beautiful. All of these areas are meant to glorify God and to enable others to know Him the first time or in a deeper relationship. One could not help but love Billy Graham because he was a superlative model of love. He followed those two great commandments that Jesus Christ issued in Matthew 22. His love of Jesus Christ fueled his love for others. He loved his wife as Christ loved the church. He loved his family and took care of it. He loved believers and unbelievers alike and wanted to see all come to know the Lord in an extremely personal, deep way. His steps took him from just outside his home to all around the world to minister to the greatest of these and the least of these. I marvel at the number of recordings of his sermons that were made, the number of books he has written, the literature provided by the Billy Graham Association, the unseen acts of love that he and his associates have done for others, and the work of Samaritan's Purse and the staff at the Billy Graham Training Center to bring hope and healing to an extremely cynical, aloof world. Billy Graham could have been called the President's Pastor and the People's Pastor. He has recently been called America's Pastor. After all, I somehow think that all of us feel a kinship to him. Losing him to the eternal reward of being with the Lord is bittersweet. America will never have a pastor as down to earth, yet with such a supernaturally principled life as Billy Graham. Billy Graham, you have been an American treasure. You have touched our lives with the richness and fullness of God's grace. We rejoice with you as you have gone to be with the true love of your life, Jesus Christ. We hope to learn to love as you did, loving God and loving others with all of our hearts. Thank you, Billy Graham.